Yo, what's going on, guys? Your boy Ooze back again once again, and today we actually have 6 cards we're going over. I was able to skip the one day instead of posting it super late, and then like today's cards would have just came out anyway. I'm trying this new thing where I wake up super early, and you could probably tell because of my voice even after I had a bagel, and you know it's unavoidable, you can always tell. But anyway, I'm gonna go right into it because I'm trying to watch that Nintendo Direct. So if you want to see that, head on over to twitch.tv/UchiGames, link in the description below as always, even though it has nothing to do with Godzilla. But let's get into some of what we got today. All right, so on September 11th, we received 3 new Gigan cards. So continuing off from where we left off previously, Gigan did get some support, and now we're actually going to see 4 in total now with this update of the new Gigan cards. So the rank 3 Gigan on the left, that's Gigan 2020, or I'm sorry, Gigan 2004 rank 3. It says for each card under this, every adjacent battle card gains 1,000 repel power. Pretty straightforward, acting in with a 18,000 threat level. It's able to support any of the other battle cards around it with a simple 1k addition. That's pretty good. I'm going to also give my thoughts as we go along, just so that it's all concise into each card and I don't have to like go back and forth, right? So yeah, pretty good. I would say that that's pretty decent Gigan. I don't know if they're going to add any other Gigans in future updates. So right now, Gigan's looking pretty strong, if you ask me. Up next, we do have a Gigan rank 4. This is modified Gigan, right? So another monster, rank 4. When invading, this decrease your opponent's rage by 2 if their monster card is in areas 6 through 8. Okay, so this is like literally almost towards the end game, right? When they're almost at the finish line, we're decreasing their opponent's rage by 2. So right off the bat, I'm just going to say that's really good. The next part of the effect says, at the beginning of your end phase, if your opponent's monster card is in areas 1 to 5, increase this card's rage by 2. So not only are we taking rage away, we are gaining rage for ourselves. So I feel like that is a very strong rank 4, especially for being a brand new card introduced to this game. Again, if their monster card is in areas 6 to 8 when you're invading, then boom. So then it's already set up to where at the beginning of your end phase, so this is assuming obviously after when you would repel their monster card, you're increasing your rage by 2. So that is amazing to have. To also, it's almost like Gigan seems to be a very offensive yet defensive type of monster card. So we'll see how it really feels once we get closer to the release of these cards. And then finally, for this update, we have a Gigan 2004, a level 4 battle card. So if this card is in the same column as your opponent, increase its counter power by 3,000. And also, we are showing off the new icon when destroyed is probably what it's going to end up saying. But in the Japanese version, it essentially like has the characters of Hakai. We went over that in the last video as well. So we're gonna assume that when the English version comes out, it will read something along the lines of when destroyed. So it just makes more sense that way when you're trying to make sense of everything when you put it together. So it says, when destroyed, if your opponent's monster card is in areas 1 to 5, you may return this card to your hand from your discard pile. And of course, this says in parentheses, activated if this card is destroyed by another card's effect or by a monster card's effect / movement. So that was something that Zergil and I were pretty much going back and forth on, with exactly like how should we interpret the text in order to help the flow of the game, and how the game's mechanics work, like what's the way to make the most sense. And this is basically what we came up with together. And as always, I would like to shout out Zergil for always providing us with the raw translations, and then like I always do, like I just do the polishing up to make it reflect what the potential English versions of these cards are going to look like. So now let's move on to the latest and I guess the greatest in the Godzilla line. We're now finally showing off Space Godzilla. So really quick, before we get into this, I actually want to point out that the other day in the Discord, we were literally talking about how we want to see Space Godzilla. Someone literally mentioned like, oh, like when are we gonna get Space Godzilla? And then I even said like, I don't probably until like next week. It looks like this week is the week of Gigan and Ghidorah, right? And then actually I forget who said it, but someone literally was just like, oh, tomorrow, and here we are. So I'm pretty sure this is my joke. I think someone from Bushiroad is in the Discord watching us, right? That's we gotta tread lightly now, right? Anyway, so here we go. So we have for the 22nd card revealed for the Monsters Raid Again set, we have Space Godzilla Flying Form as a rank 1 monster card. So when invading, discard 1 card from your hand, then you may play 1 crystal form token. So here's a new card that is featuring a new mechanic that's essentially being introduced into the game with creating, or not just creating, but to play these token cards. So my hunch initially that I had mentioned in an earlier video when we saw the other token cards that I want to say were for the Shin Godzilla cards, these cards are now supposed to essentially act as cards that will be in their own deck. So not only do we have a main deck, a rage deck, and a monster deck, we're not going to have a token deck. So there's 4 decks, and they don't even count towards your overall like card count for your deck in total. Like on the website, it'll read something along the lines of like, your deck should comprise of 54 total cards, which they should have realistically worded it so people were less confused, because when it comes to card games, you have to be very literal with these things, right? So with the 54 card deck, they're actually trying to say with a 50 card main deck plus 4 card monster deck, the tokens don't even count. It even reads, I'll skip ahead for a second just to further explain this, that token cards are prepared separately from your deck, and then whenever they would get destroyed or removed, they don't even go into your like deck or your discard pile. They literally you just take them off the board altogether, right? So that is the rank 1 monster card. And so here we go for the 23rd card here, Space Godzilla, rank 2 monster card. Similarly to the rank 1, when invading, you may play 1 crystal form token. Straight up, tokens are prepared separately from your deck, right? So, and then in addition though, to make it different from the rank 1 version, if there are any crystal form tokens in your area, this gains 5,000 threat. So I think right off the bat, we can just say that Space Godzilla seems pretty strong, considering that, yes, it does have a low threat level at 12k for a rank 2, but it's literally providing itself with 5,000 additional threat level, which will put it at 17k. And then don't forget, whenever well, I guess I shouldn't say forget, because we're about to get into it now, the crystal form token, which is a level 1 token card, which is classified as a battle card, so which is interesting, but I guess that does make sense because it's, you know, it's going on the battle zones, or it's going on any of the zones, which is where your battle cards would go anyway. You add 1,000 threat level to any monster card with Space Godzilla in your area. And like I said, this card cannot enter your deck, move it outside the area when it's removed. So in combination with just being able to have these token cards out now. So like, for example, I guess I'll just say this, the Space Godzilla cards, all viable, right? They're very good cards, especially this green. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any like sleeper green cards, because let's face it, like, these are new cards. They obviously want people to go out of their way, buy the set, play the cards, and have fun, and be able to have answers for both red and blue, since they've been around for like, you know, longer, like 4 months at this point. So let's just put it this way. I'll give you a scenario, right? You start out, you have your rank 1, right? So rank 1, you're discarding a card from your hand, obviously when you're invading, after you're invading. And then you play a token. So right off the bat, the token is going to give that rank 1 6k, right? Because when that token comes out, you literally are giving 1,000, okay? So now there's obviously no bursting, but let's say, you know, realistically, when the rank 1 gets repelled, pushed back, countered, however way you want to word it, rank 2 comes out, boom. Rank 2 comes out, then when you invade with rank 2, you play another token, okay? So yeah, like and at this time it's basically for free. You don't even have to discard a card this time around. So that's you, by the time rank 2 comes out, you're already gonna have 2 tokens on the board, which is that's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna literally be granting your rank 2 Space Godzilla with 2k additional on top of its already given 5,000. So and I just want to clarify this. So it does also, well, it says right here that if there are any crystal form tokens in your area, this gains plus 5,000. That doesn't mean for every token, okay? If there are any at all. So that means that you have to have a minimum of 1 to just get plus 5,000. You're not going to get 5,000 for every. That would be truly broken. Who knows, though? If we do get like a rank 4 Space Godzilla, that would be kind of sick if they counted every token for an additional like 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Like that'd be crazy. But you're gonna see it as 17k initially, just with having 1, and then you're gonna get an additional 2. So potentially rank 2 will see 19,000 threat level, which is, you know, that's pretty dope. So those are all my thoughts on the new cards. I think they're pretty good, and I can't wait to play me some Space Godzilla as well. Shout out to Gigan as well, and because, you know, it's like I'm glad to see that other monsters in the, I guess you could consider it the multiverse of Godzilla, are getting some love, some shine, and they're getting represented by having their own monster cards. And as another quick reminder that you cannot, this is actually a correction that I wanted to make for you guys for this video going forward, that in a previous video I mentioned how, or I had the idea that like theoretically it's like you can now combine different types of monster cards as far as your stacking goes. You can obviously play whatever monster cards you have in your deck, or not play, but just feature them in your deck. But when it comes down to stacking, so you could get like a free rage if you wanted to, like, you know, you start off with your monster card at rank 1, and then like let's say you draw another rank 1, you stack on top. You actually can't stack like a different traded card, meaning like, for example, when we have like Space Godzilla here, or the what is it called, the Space Godzilla flying form rank 1, right? So let's say like you have that, you can't lay a rank 1 Gigan on top of it. Even though they do share the same rank, they don't share the same trait. So for whatever reason, if they had the same trait, then yes, you could do that. But I feel like the game inherently does that, so that way it keeps a theme with, you know, your deck. It's their way of trying to be quote unquote realistic when it comes down to, like, you know, seeing these monsters evolve and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, you know, you're gonna have the Space Godzilla line, you're gonna have the Gigan line, the Ghidorah line, of course all the Godzilla lines. And yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, it would have been interesting if you were able to do that, because then that would be like a crazy Final Wars OD situation where it's just like that'd actually be a really interesting side mode, I guess, right? You could consider it to play like just for the fun of it, if you wanted to make like a what you'd call a chaos deck, right? Where it's like you're able to have a rank 1 somebody, and then it turns into somebody else as still as a rank 1. That'd be kind of fun or interesting to play. So anyways, but that's every card. Those are the 6 new cards that just came out. Let me know what you think about this format, and if it's worth me waking up super early on work days to get these videos out instead of doing them at the very end of the day, pretty much hours before the new cards get revealed, then do let me know in the comments, and I'll consider it at least for the remainder of the month, because October 4th is right before October 4th. I'm sure they're gonna stop revealing new cards. I mean, they might, who knows. So we'll see when we get there. But thanks again, guys, as always. Big shout outs to Zergil, and big shout outs to the Discord. And if you want to join the Discord, I'm talking about the unofficial Godzilla one, there's a link in the description below. If you want to join mine, there's also a link in the description below. And if you're trying to see what Nintendo had to offer, because that's what I'm going to be doing now, at the time you guys are seeing this, then make sure you're checking back on the channel. Obviously, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell for the alerts, and just make sure you're tuning in, because YouTube sometimes doesn't really have great notifications, or it doesn't really notify people at all. So I do want to emphasize that. Please just check in, you know, just check in the channel, just see what I got. And yeah, love what you love. Gang, gang.